Hello, my Dope Blend family.
What's up, everybody?
Back.
We are back
For yet another episode.
Yes, we are.
All right. Y'all, like I said before, thank you for all the love, all the support. We really do appreciate it. Our goal, our desire is to just speak on a matter at hand and speak on things that people are afraid. This is a safe place, space to talk about all things blended. We too have things that we realize that we really haven't put into play or even discussed. So please understand that DM us, email us, stop us wherever you are, ask the questions or things that you want to talk about. But today's episode, I think it's going to be more of thinking about what we continuing to do, putting in the work, focusing on what we have done, but just really reflecting on us individual and collectively, right?
Yeah, definitely. We got to do the work.
We got to do the work. So the episode is what? Putting and doing the work.
What she said.
Yeah, doing the work.
Let's go.
Let's do it. All right. So, when I think about putting in the work, and really reflecting on myself, my thing is I need to work on myself and not my selfie.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that was nice. You put that together? You did that yourself?
Yes. Not my selfie, but me. Because when we take a picture, think about this, especially for the women. We look at our selfies and we take it a couple of times until we get the perfect one. It's got to look right. Our face got to look perfect. Lord. Our pout got to look perfect if you're doing a pout. Our smile, our hair, everything. It's distorted. It's not real. It's what we call a selfie. We have the way we choose how we want that to look like. But when you're yourself, you're just you.
It just is what it is.
It is what it is. Mm-hmm. Whether other people like it or not, you're being authentic to who you are. Yeah. And I think being in a blended family, I had to, and I still learn, no matter how other people view you, you have to be authentically Leslie.
Well,
and it's not the easiest thing.
I will be authentically Greg.
You'll be authentically Greg. But
I know what you mean.
But you get what I'm saying,
yeah,
right?
I do.
So in this episode, I think we're going to pull back layers of who we are and who we are as individuals. But how does it look for us now? Mm-hmm. We're parents, we're husband and wife. How do we get here? How does it feel to be here? Do you think you've put in the necessary work, or is there more work to be had?
I think there's always more work. Mm-hmm. I think we are all works in progress, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that it's important to recognize the work that you have done. Mm-hmm. I do think that. I do think that a lot of times. I think it's like one extreme or the other. Sometimes we don't give ourselves the grace of recognizing that we're works in progress.
Yeah.
Sometimes we don't, and then there's the other end of the spectrum, being we don't allow ourselves to celebrate the progress that we've made, right? So sometimes we don't realize we are a work in progress at all, so we don't give ourselves any grace. Mm-hmm. Sometimes we do recognize that we're a work in progress, but then we don't allow ourselves to celebrate the progress that's been made. So it's like we're our own worst enemy. We're our own worst critic. Constantly beating up on ourselves, constantly like, God, why would you do that? I can't believe I made that mistake. I can't believe I went down that path. I can't believe I did this to my life. I can't believe this is the decision that I made. And now look at me. Now look where I am. Now look. And we don't oftentimes celebrate the fact that I'm not where I want to be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. Huh? Ain't that churchy?
Yeah, it's so churchy, Jesus. But I think when you're in a dynamic like we are, I think also children will help you reflect,
Well, yeah,
self-reflect,
yeah, sure,
Jesus,
sure,
on who you are as a person and who you are to them.
right,
They really will make you see yourself in a mirror, and either you will be like, okay, I'm going to change this, or I choose to be who I am.
correct.
And that's really who you are. What you're not changing, you're choosing.
You're not changing, you're choosing.
You're choosing to be this way.
And there are lots of people that make choices and not changes.
And not changes. Right.
That's good.
And I think for me, every step, even to where I am now as a bio mom as well, I've gone through levels of change. Coming into this, not having ever experienced anything like this before, was a change
Sure.
that I chose to take.
Yeah.
It was a journey I chose. Even though when it always didn't feel good, I
Right.
chose that journey.
Correct.
When we decided to wed, I chose that journey.
Correct.
In choosing that journey, I chose them. So how does that make you feel in your choices that you've made? Do you feel like, is there something that I would have done differently?
I think we all have the, if I could turn back time, right? If I knew then what I know now, right? We all have that in the back of our mind somewhere in regards to something about our lives, right? If I could go back and I could do things differently. I think that's, you have to be careful with that.
Yeah.
Because the reality of it is, we just recently talked about, I have an idea for a script that I won't get into on the World Wide Web. But it made me think about a movie that I had seen in the past. And that movie dealt with, almost like a ripple effect of, if you change one thing in the course of history, everything else changes.
Yeah.
Right? The slightest glitch, the slightest adjustment, the slightest change will literally change everything that came behind it, if you could go back and turn back time and redo that. So it's like, I have the times that I think to myself, well, what if I hadn't gotten married at an early age? What if I was secure enough in myself to have gotten a divorce sooner than I did in my first marriage?
Okay.
What if, I didn't allow, yes, my belief in God, my belief in Jesus, my walk with Christ, that played a part in my making the decision to get married at an early age, right? What if I didn't feel stuck to that? What if I didn't feel pressured into that? Which, however you want to see that, right? There was a personal choice that I made, but some of that choice was based on pressure.
Yeah.
Whether it be internal or externally placed on me, I made the decision that I made. The thing about it is, if I go back and I turn back time and I take any of those things away, the early marriage, then you wouldn't be a bonus parent.
Right.
Who's to say that you and I
would have ever met?
Yeah. See? Because listen here.
Oh, Jesus.
If I had never had children at an early age, I'll be a force to reckon.
Oh my God. Okay, moving on.
I'm talking about a high rise somewhere in a penthouse and
oh my God. Anyway,
y'all wouldn't want to mess with me.
I get that. But okay, so in the first season, I talked about how the girls prepared me for motherhood before I had
Right.
the boys.
Okay.
I was about to say my boys, but our boys, they
No,
just,
I understand what you mean. They're
but
yours.
the boys, they prepared me, but in that preparation, it was a reflection of Leslie. Like, who am I as a person? Who am I as a mom of some sort? What does that look like? There is a quote that says, "You are the greatest project you will ever work on."
Sure.
And I had to work hard because, to me, becoming a mother to the girls, I had to lose myself, meaning I had to become selfless.
Correct.
And that wasn't the easiest thing to do
Sure.
when you're in your early 30s and you just like, I went from not having this at all to all of a sudden a husband and 2 kids. Wait a minute. Like, I'm still in my selfish phase. If I want to go, I want to go. I'm not spending money on nobody. And let's be real. I'm not spending any money on anybody else's children. I'm supposed to be, no, it's me. You know what I'm saying? It's me.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been me. So no, not a car. Remember that? I had to purchase a car because my car was too small. So now I even have to change what I drive. Are you crazy?
Well, I mean,
No, I'm saying,
I
though,
get what you're saying.
the changes and the choices that come with that. All of those things I had to change and reflect on within myself. Like, my life now has completely transformed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just because my life was changing doesn't mean I was changing with my life.
Just because your life was
My
changing.
life, the events in my life was changing doesn't mean I, Leslie, as an individual, was changing.
Okay, understood. I get that. I understand.
Have you ever heard what people will say, I could see my life just flashing before me like a movie. Sometimes that's what it feels like. Like, this is, wait a minute, what? And I have to catch up to it
Yeah. I
because
get
it's
that.
running from me because it's happening so fast.
Okay, so excuse me.
Y'all
We're gonna
eat
pick up from
birds.
so because what would you say was the work that you had to do to catch up with your life?
The first thing I had to realize and accept is I chose this. I didn't
Okay,
have to
that's
choose
good.
it. I willingly chose it. I chose every aspect of it. I grew up in a blended family, but I didn't know it. And I said this in the first season. But the way I was able to see how my mom flowed and protected her family at all cost while ensuring that her children and her husband were secure individually and collectively gave me a sense of empowerment
Okay,
because I had a great example.
got you. Okay,
So the fear that came with the acceptance, I knew I could face head on.
okay,
I just had to remind myself and give myself that extra boost, confidence that, girl, please, you got this.
okay,
And I told myself that a couple of times. Sometimes I tell myself that now.
okay,
Girl, you got this.
okay.
But the little girl in me probably would have never chosen this. I would have never viewed this and said, "Oh, I'm going to marry a man who's divorced with 2 kids." You don't look at life like that. You don't see life like that. I'm married. A prince is supposed to get me, and we supposed to have a family, and I'm not supposed to be worried about nobody else. Just me and him and our little family dynamic, not a dynamic that already was created that I am going into.
Well, you still got the prince.
Really?
You got a king.
Oh my God.
But in
Y'all see
that,
where I'm trying to go? And he talk about a king, queen, all of this stuff.
but in that, okay, I get it. I get it. So the work that you had to do in the bonus process, becoming a bonus mom, becoming a wife,
Yeah.
was based heavily on self-motivation, what's the word? Encouragement.
Yeah.
Um,
I wanted something. I wanted to experience great love. I wanted a family.
mhm.
But I had to come to the terms that God gave it to me in a different package.
Okay.
And doesn't mean that that package wasn't great or perfect in its own way, because it came from him. So yeah, it was perfect.
Okay.
But I had to come to that. You have a dream of what life is going to look like, the steps that you're going to take to get there. And when there's a pivot or it doesn't come to you the way that you perceive it to be presented, it's different. Like for you, you just said if you went back and could change things, that meant, would I have changed being married early? Which that means you wouldn't have had Kirsten and Kyla. If you never would have married, you wouldn't have had Kirsten and Kyla. All of those things. But it was a choice that you made, and the outcome wasn't what you saw coming at any point.
Right.
But it was the outcome you needed to get to your destination of where you are now.
Correct. No doubt.
But you had to go through all of those ebbs and flows and even heartbreak, not just for you, for your ex, even for your children, to get here.
Right.
So how many of our viewers have to go through those hills and valleys to get to that place? And how do you put in the work to get to that destination?
Yeah, I think that work relies heavily upon, it's like everybody's situation is unique.
Yeah.
Right. So the uniqueness of your blended dynamic will determine the level of work that you have to put in.
Yeah.
Right. So some people, math comes easily.
Okay.
To some people, math is extremely difficult.
Okay.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to make an assessment of what is your blended dynamic that will determine what are the concerns that are happening in your blended dynamic. Because you may have concerns we didn't have drama.
No.
We never had drama. We had headaches.
We did. Mm-hmm.
We had struggles.
Mm-hmm.
We had disappointments. We had aggravations.
I mean, you could just call the list down. Why don't you?
I mean, because
I'm just playing. I'm just playing.
Because what I never wanted to come across is that our blended dynamic has always been perfect. I think that we're very transparent in that we have gotten to the place that we're at now, that we're in now.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that is the work, right? But our work that we had to do was based upon our dynamic, right? We didn't have drama, so your situation might have drama, right? So the work that you may have to put in might be, how do you co-parent in a dramatic situation?
So there's another quote. Just a masterpiece learning to master peace.
Okay. Just a masterpiece learning to masterpiece. Okay. Well, that kind of opens up something that I had a revelation on recently.
Yeah.
In that we do what we have to do oftentimes to keep peace.
Mm-hmm.
When in all actuality, we were created to make peace, right? If we want to go into the book being the Bible, blessed are the peacemakers, right? And so that might be the work that you have to put in. The work that you might have to put in might be, according to what Gary Chapman says is one of the 5 love languages of a blended dynamic, prayer, right? So the prayer in your situation, part of the work might be, how do I make peace in my situation? What do you do if you have a disgruntled ex that creates so much drama, right? That was not the case in our situation. So that wasn't an area that we had to put in work. It may be an area that you have to put in work. How do I make peace in a situation with a person who doesn't want peace?
That's another thing. That's another thing that you have to think about. Like, you have one side of the masterpiece. I like that. One side of the masterpiece that's pushing forward with making peace.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Then you have the other person that's sitting in that place and not allowing their light to shine, their peace to.
Yeah, they don't want peace.
They don't
desire it. They want discord.
They want it.
To make life hell for the ex or the past situation, because they don't want to see them move on. They don't want their children to see them in a healthy light, or you know what I'm saying. So you might be dealing with a person or a person's family, right?
Yeah.
That wants to see you not thriving, that wants to throw salt, that wants to always be making trouble for you so that you're not seen in a healthy light.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Right. So in that case, your work might need to be, how do I co-parent? How do I continue to raise my child, but have completely no involvement with the ex? And not to say that's what I mean by that is, you say all the time, there's no way that you can completely disassociate yourself with the ex. The ex is always going to be a part of the bigger picture, right? But if they're unhealthy, if they create drama, right? Or what happens if a person came from an abusive,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying, situation, but you have to co-parent with that person. What does that work look like?
What does that work look like? Yeah.
Right? That work
because
may
it's
have
deep.
It's
way deeper.
Yeah. That work may have to look like taking the children and moving away. That work may have to look like going through therapy. That work may have to look like getting counseling for you and the children, family counseling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so when you ask yourself, what does it mean to put in work to make a blended dynamic happen, to make it peaceful, right?
Mm-hmm.
What determines that is you're taking an assessment of where is my blended dynamic
Where
currently?
is it? Mm-hmm.
For me, and I mentioned this in season 1 on the divorce episode when I shared my divorce story, I had to put in work of what were the lessons that I learned from my first marriage? Why did my first marriage end?
And a lot of people don't take the time.
Yeah.
You know what they do? They move on to the next.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and they create a mess in somebody else's life because they never took the time to do the work, or they attract the same person again because they didn't take the time to do the internal work.
Yeah.
Of what is it in me that's attracting this behavior, this type of person, this type. You understand?
My mom used to always say, "You attract who you are."
Well, that means that you have to do work within yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, where you are in your life, people, especially the wrong, will gravitate, especially if you're in a bad space. It's so crazy because I feel like it's like a gravitational pull. You say misery loves company,
Right.
and it's true.
Right.
It will seek that.
Sure.
Wherever you are, I'm coming to follow you,
Right.
And haunt you and keep you there. And I think with something you said, that in a blended situation, no matter how it looks and you coming out of it, and you've divorce and things like that, you have to put in that work in order to move to the next. And I think for all of those bonus parents, you have to put in the work to be an effective bonus parent. And even more so, a loving and supportive spouse. Because they go hand in hand. And the crazy thing is, you must be prepared to work always without the applause of the other person. Because you ain't gonna get it. Not all the time. I don't get a thank you. I don't get, I appreciate what you're doing for my children. And at first I used to be like, well, good God, like, the things that I'm doing. And, but then I had to realize, Leslie, stop expecting that applause. The applause is not from the other person. Look at those children smile and how they've grown and how your relationship with them has grown. That's your applause. That's you're doing it. Don't expect it from the other person, because you'll still be waiting. And I won't speak that on every relationship, because some of the other bio parents or exes will say, thank you, I appreciate you. But you don't do it for that, right?
Yeah, correct. Now, you're not saying that I didn't say thank you.
No, of course.
I'm just making sure we're clear.
Oh, God. Yes, we're clear. He would thank me. He would thank me. He would always... tell me, I appreciate what you're doing. But sometimes you want to hear it from other people. And I think when you are learning that amongst each other, especially when we were getting married, we never talked about those aspects of it. But I think now I've learned that as long as we are together and we're on the same page, which I do believe counseling, all of those things help. I think they're a good aspect. And, I will say this, premarital counseling also helps.
Correct. Absolutely.
And that's something we did at where?
Elizabeth Baptist Church.
I know we did it. And we want to thank Elizabeth Baptist Church.
It's the place
to be where you and me.
All right, that's all.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
But no, honestly, we want to thank EBC as they're our sponsor, EBC in your city.
Yeah. And
we appreciate all the love and all the support that they've given us. We actually met there. We got engaged there. We had counseling there. Yeah. And
Bishop
I think
Oliver married us.
Bishop Oliver married us. And I think it's really important, for that to be a component when you're thinking about any type of blended family and putting in the work.
Sure.
So shout out to EBC.
Yeah. EBC
Thank
in
y'all.
your city on Instagram, and Elizabeth Baptist Church on Facebook, and I think it's elizabethbaptistchurch.org or elizabethbaptist.org that you can visit them as well and see the great things that they have going on there as an amazing church.
Absolutely.
We love and appreciate them. And while we're at it, whenever you get a chance, make sure that you follow us as well.
Yes.
Everything is My Dope Blend podcast. Our website is mydopeblend.com. If you can look for her on TikTok, and that's BMom40.
Yes.
Which also comes up as My Dope Blend podcast. So make sure that you're following us everywhere that you can. That's part of the work that you can do.
Yes.
You can put in the work of following us on social media.
Absolutely.
Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and like us and share these podcasts whenever you get a chance.
Absolutely. And we want to hear from you all. Talk to us. Let us know, how do you feel? Let us know if these episodes are helping you all, and what do you want to hear from us?
Yeah.
We're always open to those things. DM us, email us. We're definitely happy to hear from you all.
Sure.
But to go a little deeper, something we talked about, light, and what does that look like? So, when a child is little, and I think every child has experienced that, and they walking in a parking lot or walking on a sidewalk and they see their shadow. What's the first thing they do? When a kid usually
try to catch the shadow?
No, usually a little bitty kid runs from
the shadow.
They
Okay,
run.
I got it.
They're like, oh, what is this? What is this?
Okay.
So I was just looking through something, and I read, if you won't sit with your shadow, you can't stand in your light.
if you won't sit with your shadow, you can't stand in your light.
Mm-hmm. So if you can't sit in what's reflecting, then you can't stand in your light, meaning you can't grow from it.
Okay.
And I think about that when I look at little kids and they run from their shadow. Do you know how many adults
Run from their shadow. Well, you can't.
From their shadow.
Because as soon as you get to another area with some more sunlight, guess what's going to be right there with you?
Your shadow. You have to look at that in order to become better. Better person, better spouse, better parent. And the crazy thing is, as you grow, your shadow gets bigger.
Wow, that's good. That's rich. As they say, that's rich. That's rich.
It gets bigger. You know, and we have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
But there's a caveat to that. Your light shines even brighter.
That's great. That's good.
Right?
That's good. Yeah. So it's all about also perspective.
Perspective.
What is casting this shadow has to be a great light.
It has to be a great light.
You know, but in order to have a shadow, you have to have a light.
Yep.
And when there's light, there's going to be a shadow. So they both go hand in hand. They kind of, you know, you can't have one and escape the other.
Yep.
I'm trying to think if I ever tried to run from my shadow. I would say yeah.
I think we all have, but
Yeah.
I'm curious to hear.
Yeah. In the area of blending, you know, there have been times when, as much as I love you, as much as I love my girls, as much as I love the boys, there have been times when I have said to myself, I did this to myself. By that, what I mean is, in the times where blending was difficult, in the times where we were trying to find our way through, for whatever reason, whether it was conflict in schedule, whether it was a disagreement that I had with my ex-wife, whether it was even a difference in parenting between you and I, because there were things that, and there are times when you feel like, well, you know, you say all the time, you know, those girls have you wrapped, you know, and the first thing you say is, I used to be a girl, you know, I used to be a young girl, so I know how we play our dads. I know the games. I know the this and I know the that, because you're a daddy's girl and your dad spoiled you. And then I inherited it, and now I got to reap all of that.
Whatever. Get with the story, please.
But anyway, so there have been times when I have thought to myself, Greg, you really did this to yourself. Because, you know, if you had not gotten married again, you know, it would have just been you and the girls, and you wouldn't have had the headache of blending. I guess based on what we're talking about today, in hindsight, what I really at times was running from was the work. Because to blend takes work, right? Is the work the shadow?
It could be.
You know, the shadow that at times I feel like I tried to run from. Was I running from the pains, the growing pains of putting in the work of blending my family?
So it's crazy that you say that. We so in sync, y'all. Like in ways that because seriously, because we didn't talk about this. We really haven't. But there are moments that I have said to myself, "Oh God, I did this. Jeez, Lord, I did this." And take a deep breath and be like, "Oh my God," because I have had to deal with, you know, when you have bonus children and then you birth your own. Sometimes I feel like I'm in the middle of 4 kids. On one hand, I'm mommy to my boys. And to our girls, I'm B mom. I am Miss L. And I still feel like there's still a line that I can't cross. Greg will tell me, babe, you have the right to say this. You have the right to say that. You have helped those girls. You've raised those girls along with their mom and I. You have helped raise them. But I don't always feel that. And so when I don't feel that, I retrieve and I'm like, yeah, I did this to myself. Why?
Yeah.
What, you know,
Yeah.
oh God, it can be so draining. And
Yeah,
let's be
sure.
real. It can be so draining because you're dealing with
It's
so
exhausting.
many. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you're managing 2 households at times.
Sure. Absolutely.
How do you manage 2 households? How do you make sure things are peaceful in both households when you only really live in one?
Correct.
How do you do that? And do it with a heart of humility and grace and love, and when sometimes you just want to scream.
Yeah.
Like, God,
I
know?
wanted to scream.
Yeah, we all have. I'm sure all of us, even the kids.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
they
know?
have wanted to scream.
Absolutely.
They have screamed.
They have.
They will scream. They will do it. Yeah, that's the burden of blending. That's the burden of blending, right?
Yeah.
That's the onset of the work. That's the issue where it will try you, and it will make you say to yourself, do I have what it takes? Do I have it in me to keep with this? Or is it time for me to pack up my stuff and hit the road? You know what I'm saying? But the work is what is needed in order to maintain it and keep it going.
Yeah.
Keep it moving forward. There has to be pre-work. We talk about this all the time, that, there are things that have to be worked through even before you get to the point of marriage, and even before you get to the point of solidifying the blend, right? Because before marriage, you're working toward a blend, but you still kind of have the way of escape.
You do. You can walk away.
Right.
Shoot, before you say I do, you can walk away.
You got the opportunity to walk away.
You
right?
sure
and
can.
So it's in that time that you recognize that if I don't do a certain amount of work, right? If I don't do what it takes to make my situation harmonious, right? How do I do work in individual areas, right? How do I do work with my kids? How do I do work with my ex? How do I do work with my soon-to-be spouse, right?
So I have a question. Do you suggest that when you're dealing with divorce and children, should you go to counseling? Should there be counseling individually and collectively regarding that?
I would say yes. Did I? No. Should you? Yes. Right? Because the reality of it is there's some things that have to be fixed. Kirsten, and I don't recall if Kyla was so small. I think that she did, but I know for a fact that Kirsten had a few therapy sessions because she suffered from separation anxiety. And in hindsight, there were some things that I probably needed to go to therapy for as well, counseling for as well. There were some things that we should have gone to family counseling about.
Right. So would you say that one of the steps and doing the work would be counseling.
Yes,
Okay.
I would. I would recommend.
Recommend.
I would suggest
Okay.
that one of the steps in doing the work toward blending
Would be
is
counseling.
counseling. Now, you raise a good point, because in my case, it would have been from the result of a divorce, right? So what if your blending and divorce is not a concern? What if the family is blending just because of kids that are a part of the scenario that were born out of wedlock, where it was just two people that did what they did, they have children. Now both individuals have children, and if they go on to wed or be a part of another family, now you have that dynamic.
I
So-
think it should still be counseling. I think it needs to be incorporated in premarital counseling. If
Ah.
you're in a blended family, I believe that we need to start incorporating a portion to blended. And I think it should include the children that will be blending.
And that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
So in some cases, it's not necessarily therapy or counseling that should come as a result of a divorce and the separation of a family, like the split, like the splitting of a family. In some cases, or maybe all, counseling with regards to blending should be incorporated in premarital. is what
Yeah,
you're saying.
I do believe that.
So would you suggest that all blended families go through premarital?
I do.
Blended counseling be a part of premarital counseling.
Yes, I do.
Well, I
Because
think what y'all need to do is y'all need to hop on My Dope Blend, and y'all need to reach out to Leslie Cooper Kirkland. And y'all need to book her to come and build your premarital counseling blended.
I would love to.
portion.
You know, I think there should be, you can't talk about every scenario. Things have to happen organically, right? But you can prepare people for what's to come. You can include the children in what's about to change and their new normal. And I think a way of doing that is bringing them into that premarital counseling. Let's all talk about it. Let's all get prepared for what's about to happen. We all are about to get married.
Yeah.
We doing
It's
this
true.
together.
It's true.
So it's not just me and him. We're about to say, I do. So let's go through the fundamentals of what that looks like. So what would you say would be point 2? What would that look like? So we have, if it's a divorce, you would suggest that the family and individuals go through counseling. If it is a situation where there wasn't a divorce, I would say premarital counseling. What would be the next, not necessarily the next step, but what would be another point that you would say putting in the work with the blended?
I think that, I don't know how to say it. The family has to know how to communicate with one another,
That's the same one that I was about to say, yeah.
but they have to know how to communicate with one another.
That goes back to
The love languages.
love languages, yeah.
They have to know how, because everybody doesn't speak the same language, and everybody's at a different place and at a different point,
Right.
right? So like, for example, the bonus parent can't wish that the kids be further along, so that the bonus parent doesn't have to do the work of dealing with children that are coming from another parent. But does that make sense?
Yeah.
You can't. Everybody has to know how to communicate with everybody. Everybody has to know what place everybody is in the situation. Right? There has to be an identifying moment
Yep.
where everybody recognizes, okay, the kids are still grieving.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
My girls used to say the old house.
They sure did. Oh my God. I didn't even.
Yeah, a part of their grieving process was the old house.
Yeah.
Because at that time, they had memories of their room, their bedroom set,
Oh.
the backyard, front yard, what the house looked like. They had those memories, right? Now, in my girls' uh, situation, I always say, and I believe I said this last season, the difference is that they only had the good memories
They didn't know.
because their mom and I shielded them from the negative memories. So their point of reference was that everything was all good. They couldn't wrap their minds around why we got divorced, why they were no longer, why we were not in our old house, why we were not, and why mom and daddy are no longer together, and were things that bad? I don't understand. Everything was good. No, you thought everything was good because you saw everything was good because we showed you that everything was good. You didn't know that we were going weeks without speaking to one another. You didn't know that neither of us were happy at times. You didn't know that, we would go into the room and argue, and cuss each other out. You didn't know that that's what was happening because we were shielding y'all from that.
So would you say that another portion of blending is blending the house? Because I've heard this. Girls did used to say old house. And I think in order sometimes to feel like you're home, you have to bring a piece of old into the new until it feels good.
So blending the house.
Blending the
That's
house.
a part of the work. Yeah.
Blending the
the
house.
house is a part of the work. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blending the house.
How do you bring some of the old into the new? But that takes security.
That takes security
What I mean by that is that means that the bonus parent has to feel okay with allowing the bio children, and honestly, even the bio parent.
Has to be okay. I remember.
No. What I mean by that is the bonus parent has to be okay with allowing the bio parent to allow there to be a certain integration of their old life.
But if you remember when we moved into this house that we're in now, do you remember I asked the girls, I said, what do you want your room to look like? And I was told by one of them, I like the lights and all that. I said, you have this at your mom's house? Yes. So I integrated that and brought that to our home,
Right.
because it gave them a self of, this is mine. I belong here. I have it at both homes. I blended these houses.
That's good.
To feel comfortable, and I think they needed that. And it was really important, and something I think, and I want to stress this too as point number 3. You got to give yourself grace.
Mm-hmm.
You got to give yourself grace.
Yeah.
God gives it to us, and we got to give it to ourselves.
Sure.
It's not going to always be easy, and it's okay.
Sure.
You're going to mess up. It's okay.
Sure.
You're going to beat yourself up. It's okay. I did. I do. I even beat myself up just as a mother, period. I beat myself up sometimes as a mom.
Yes.
It's a part of evolving to not repeat the same thing.
Right.
But to do things differently. I gave myself the grace
Sure.
to acknowledge what I did, how I did it.
Sure.
But now I have to evolve from it.
And that brings us full circle, because that was part of what we talked about in segment 1, was the grace of recognizing that we are a work in progress.
We are
so
a
when you
work in
talk
progress.
about putting in the work, we are all a work in progress.
Yeah.
Blending is a work in progress.
Blending is a work in
10
progress.
years, 20 years from now, there are things that we had to deal with in the beginning that we don't have to deal with anymore. But there are things to come that we haven't dealt with yet.
Mm-hmm.
We talk about it all the time. When the girls came into your life, they were in kindergarten and first grade, elementary school. We dealt with that. We dealt with adolescence. We dealt with high school. Now they're in college. There are certain things that we don't deal with now that we did deal with then, right? There are certain hurdles that we had to overcome that we can look back now and breathe and say, we made it through that. We're good.
Yep.
But guess what hasn't happened yet?
What?
Marriage.
For them.
Yeah. What I mean by that is what happens when they have to plan a wedding?
Oh, God. Please, let's.
And they have a mom and a bonus dad, and they have a dad and a bonus mom. Who gets to help pick out the dress?
Oh, Jesus. Well, we've dealt with that a little bit with prom
Right.
and all of that. Yes.
Right. But we made it past that.
We made it past that, but this is a bigger thing.
Right. And the point that I'm making is,
Yeah.
you're never done.
You're never done.
It's always a work in progress because there's always going to be
Another
another
hurdle.
level. Absolutely.
Another hurdle. Yeah, you're right.
Always. What happens when my daughter become moms and they're and they're having a baby? Who's going to be in the room with them?
Jesus.
These are things that I think about, future. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because we haven't gotten there yet, but we will.
Yeah.
If the Lord say the same, right?
Yes, Lord.
So
I want to see it, Lord. I want to see it, Lord. I want to see
never,
it.
the point I'm making is blending is a continued work in progress.
Okay. So with that being said, we're going to have our little activity with the colors. So guys, for those who, are viewing, you see the Skittles. And for those who are listening, I have a bowl of Skittles. Skittles are the color of the rainbow. And they represent really significant things when it comes to blended families. And I use this as an activity to kind of help. And I think this is something that you guys can use at home too, because it is a little bit of an icebreaker to help talk about things. So you have your green, you use the words to describe your family, right? You have your orange, what needs to be improved in the family dynamic. You have your red, what worries you all? You know what I'm saying? And then yellow, describe favorite memories or things you want to create as a memory. And then purple, describe the fun activities that you guys do and enjoy. And I think this is something to practice at home because it's ways to open up communication and to hear what the kids have to say. But right now it's going to be between us. So I'm going to pick first and I'm going to have my eyes closed.
Very good.
So hopefully I won't pick a color that I've chosen before. Ooh. I picked orange. What needs to be improved in the family dynamic?
Oh my God. Lord have mercy.
This is good. Wow. I think we need to learn how to, I think right now for us is our girls, because they're getting older. I think we need to improve on cutting the cord a little bit and allowing them to fly a little bit more, allowing them to honestly fly and fall all at the same time. I think dad can be protective, and that's a father. I think mom can sometimes be a little bit overprotective. I think bonus mom, I have the experiences to me of both girls. I went away to school. I came here to Atlanta, and I also am the baby, like our youngest daughter, who is also a little away at school. She's an hour and a half away from us. But, I feel like they're at a place, especially our oldest, because she's going into her last year of school. And we are at a place that we have to allow her to sink or swim.
Okay.
We have to, and not necessarily in every case, but in some cases we have to learn when there are teaching moments.
I understand.
And when it's not. And I don't think we recognize that together. And sometimes I can be a little pushy on it. Because I've had the experience and you haven't from a standpoint of college and stuff.
Yeah.
So I try to express, where they are really, because I've been there.
Sure.
And I sometimes I think I'm a little bit overbearing with it. And I only come from a place of love because I really have, to me, out of the three parents, I have experienced that the most.
Got it.
So I think that is something that we could work on.
Understood. And I always love this story. I heard it in 2017, 2018. Steve Harvey told a story when he did a master class, and he said that Marjorie, his wife, told him at one point in time about their adult kids, Steve, you have to let them fly, even if they fall out the nest, because their wings work. So perhaps I need to attribute that to the girls and allow their wings to work because they work.
They work.
Okay. I'll do the work. I'll do
Okay.
the work to allow that to
So your color, sir.
happen. Okay. I need to close my eyes.
Close your eyes.
Okay.
Let's see. Oh, God, he makes so much noise. I was so quiet on mine. Jeez.
I told y'all I was going to be loud this season. Purple again.
No.
No? Okay. All right. The color purple.
Jeez. Just pull it if it's the same color.
Orange. Oh.
Oh.
Well, you had orange. Didn't
Yeah,
you?
I did. But this is good because we're talking about putting in the work.
Okay.
So what needs to be improved in our family setup? This is God. We pull the same color. Come on.
I don't know that I have an answer.
Oh, wow.
What needs to be improved? I guess I could say,
It's almost a good thing that,
well, yes, that is a good thing. I think I could play off of your answer
okay.
because, and this is not to undo what I just said,
Okay.
but I guess there is a caveat to what I just said.
Mm-hmm.
You recognize the fact that we need to allow the girls to grow up and have more responsibilities and things of that sort, right? Because you have the college experience. I never went to college. I went for one semester, and then after that one semester, I was done.
Right.
You had a whole full out HBCU, you know, you had a whole HBCU experience, you know, that, you know, could go back to just like being on Hillman and a different
Oh,
world.
God.
I didn't have that.
Okay.
Right. But because I didn't have that, I grew up quick.
Okay.
I moved out of my parents' house at 19,
Right.
never to return.
Okay.
Except when my house was broken into several years back, and I just stayed there for a couple of weeks until I got moved on to my next home. But as far as going back to live at home with my parents, I never did that. At 19, I moved out. Bought all my own furniture, got my own apartment, had all my bills in my own name, everything. I have had everything cut off at one point in time. My phone's been cut off. My electricity's been cut off. My water's been cut off. My cable's been cut off. I've had cars repossessed. I've had eviction notices on my door. I've had the experience of sink or swim. So whereas you feel like because you've had the college experience, I need to allow the girls to do certain things, I don't disagree. But from my perspective, I feel as though I can help them for the time that I can help them, because when they do get out and fly, they're going to learn responsibility one way or another.
So we agree to disagree.
So we both have
Our
to
ways of looking at it.
So when
Yeah.
the question is, what can we improve? So I can sum it all up. When the question is, what do I think is something that we can improve? I think that trusting each other's methods.
Okay. Trusting each other's methods.
Trusting each other's
Ooh,
methods
that's
and
good.
trusting each other's perspective.
Perspective.
Because
That's a
your
good-
perspective is right,
But yours is
but
too.
so is mine.
I get that. And so to our viewers and listeners, that's a good thing. That's working together as a family. You know, we have to trust each other, trust each other's perspective, knowing that they're coming from the same place,
Sure.
which is love.
And find common ground.
And find common
You know, I
ground.
might
And
need
maybe
to- I
maybe
might
the
need-
common ground with certain things we have to allow them
Correct.
to have more responsibility. And the bigger things would be, of course, when they, graduate, but the small things will prep them for the big things
I don't disagree.
that come along the way,
I
right?
don't disagree.
So with that being said, we've talked through some things, and I think the key points are, counseling. For those who don't believe in it, for those who run away from it, it is there to help you. It is there for you to find someone that is neutral, to guide you, to give you a different perspective, different viewpoints, different tools to use to get one for divorce past that hurt and that pain, not just for you, but for your children. For those that never experienced divorce, but going into a blended dynamic, I believe it is important to blend together. We're marrying together. We need to understand each other. We need to include the children so they feel that they are important and a part of the new normal. Another point that we brought up was communicating on every level, every aspect, knowing when to bring the children in and when it should just be amongst you all, but you got to talk through it. You got to talk through the difficult problems, the situations. They're not going to be easy, but guess what? Knowing that we can bring it to the table is absolutely the
end goal.
The end goal, right? And then the other point is, blending the house, understanding that sometimes it's taking integration for the children to make them feel like they're home. You got to be grown to do it. You got to be mature within yourself, and you got to be confident within yourself and secure within yourself to know just because I'm taking something that the other parent may do doesn't mean that, oh, now it's their house. It's not their house. We're doing it for the sake of the child so the child can feel like they belong in both homes.
Sure.
We can blend for them. We're blending for them. So our homes need to feel like home, not mama's house, daddy's house, but home.
For them.
For them. And then the last and final one was give yourself the grace that you deserve. It's not going to be easy. Dads, give yourself grace when it comes to your daughters. Give yourself grace when it comes to the ex-wife. Give yourself grace in regards to the pain that you may deal with. Moms, we carry so much. Give yourself grace. You can't do it all. And it's okay. And even when you can't, pick up the pieces and try again. You have to evolve from those mistakes, from those things in order to be better. Give yourself grace to the children. Give yourself grace. It's not easy to transition from one home to the next. It's not easy to love someone that didn't birth you, but to know that it's all about matters of the heart. Give yourself grace. And as a family, we have to what? Give ourselves grace. God gives it to us. We have to learn how to give it to ourselves.
Amen.
So with that, put forth the work with those points. And guess what, y'all? Y'all could keep what? Blending.
And put in the work and go to mydopeblend.com and join the bonus club because we want you to be a part of the community. We definitely want you to be able to experience some of the things that we do even outside of the podcast because we've got great things in store this season beyond the podcast. So we want you to be a part of the community.
Absolutely. We love y'all. Peace out.
We'll see you soon.
All right.